You never chose this just for what it is. You chose it for what it communicates, even without realizing it. The car was never just about driving. Do you remember the first car that entered your life? It doesn't have to be yours. It could have been your dad's, your family's, or the little car that gave you rides. It could have been that old, noisy car with the broken passenger seat that you loved because it represented freedom. Everyone has a car memory, and that memory carries much more than just the miles driven. Because the car was never just transportation. In Brazil, and around the world, the car is a language. It's a statement. It's the first thing people see before you get out and introduce yourself. The car speaks, and it speaks loudly, before you even open your mouth. Today we're going to take a journey, not on roads, but through life stages. From 20 to 60 years old. From car to car. From need to achievement. From ostentation to nostalgia. And if at any moment you look and think, that's me, smile. You're in good company. Because everyone has been, or will be, in each of these cars. 20 years old. Just out of adolescence. The whole world ahead, and your pockets completely empty. But there's one thing you need. Urgently. Existentially. A need that goes beyond transportation. You need a car. Not just any car. A car. Whatever comes along. Whatever fits into the impossible. And that's where the creative financial engineering begins that only those who have been through it understand. The car is 20 years old. Sometimes older than you. The engine makes a noise you've learned to ignore. The air conditioning is the open window. The sound system plays when it wants to. But it's in your name. Or almost. Because often, not even that. The financing isn't in your name because you don't have proof of income. So it's in your mom's name. Your dad's. Your uncle who agreed to sign after a lot of talking. The down payment was charged to your credit card. The monthly payment takes half of your internship salary. Insurance? Insurance is a luxury. But it's mine. It's mine and I drive it. And that phrase, said with a pride disproportionate to the state of the vehicle, sums it all up. Because that car isn't valued for what it is. It's valued for what it represents. For the first time you went out alone on a Friday night without asking for a ride from anyone. For the first time you picked someone up instead of being picked up. For the first time you felt like your life had truly begun. The old car isn't a shame. It's a trophy. Every dent has a story. Every strange noise has a nickname. Every breakdown on the road became a tale you still tell today. And there's a specific freedom in the car of your 20s that more sophisticated cars don't have. The freedom of having nothing to lose. Of not worrying about scratches in the parking lot. Of sleeping inside it on an impromptu trip without it being a problem. The old car of your 20s has a carefree spirit that the imported car of your 40s will never have. Because the imported car has to be protected. The car of your 20s can live. At 20, the car doesn't need to be good. It just needs to exist. And by existing, it's already everything. But there's a detail about the car of your 20s that only becomes clear much later. It was completely yours. Not in a legal sense, sometimes not even that. But in an emotional sense. You didn't need it to impress. There were no expectations for it to measure up to anything. It was just what it was. Old, noisy, yours. And that was enough. This carefree attitude, this absence of pressure on the object, rarely returns in the following cars. 30 years old. A steady job. A salary that allows you to breathe. And a mental accounting you've been doing for years. It's time to change cars. Not the dream car. Not yet. But a car that says, without needing words, that you're not the same as you were 10 years ago. At 30, the car needs to have power. Not just mechanical. Symbolic. So the choice goes to a mid-range model with a slightly bigger engine than necessary. With an interior finish you can praise without lying. With headlights that turn on when you press the remote from outside. and you still find that impressive. The car has air conditioning that works, a sound system with Bluetooth, power windows and all doors. Simple things. But 10 years ago, they were unthinkable. And there's something very specific that happens when it's time to park. At 20, you parked wherever you could. Any spot, any distance, any condition. At 30, you start choosing the spot. You prefer to park on the street outside the parking lot. Not to save money, but so that the car is visible. So that the people you're going to meet can see what you arrived in. I came by car. I'm right up front. That phrase. Simple, but loaded. You don't need to say the model. The important information has already been given. You have a car, and it's up front, visible. At 30, the car also starts to speak about presence, about the kind of person you're becoming in the world. Powerful engine. Acceleration you use in 10% of situations, but know is there. Because knowing it's there is already enough. At 30, the car is the metal and rubber version of the person you're building. And you want everyone to see this construction. And there's a specific ritual in this phase that almost everyone recognizes when described. It's the moment you get out of the car in front of someone you want to impress. You open the door, step out, close it, and there's a second, a very short second, almost imperceptible, where you check if the person noticed, if the car was seen, if the point was made. Sometimes it's conscious. Most of the time it's not. But it happens. And the satisfaction that comes when the car is noticed, when someone asks about the model, when someone compliments it, that satisfaction is real. It's not superficial vanity. It's the confirmation that the narrative you're building about who you are is reaching where you want it to go. The problem is that the narrative is never complete. There's always a next chapter. There's always a better car than the current one. 40 years old. The career is established. The income is consistent. You have a history, a trajectory, achievements that no one can take away from you. And the car needs to live up to all of that. At 40, it's not enough to have a good car. It needs to be a car that declares, without modesty, that you've made it. So in comes the imported car, or the top-of-the-line national model, the one with the name people recognize, the emblem that shines differently in the rearview mirror of those behind you. It's spacious because you deserve space. It's comfortable because you've spent years uncomfortable and can now choose differently. It's automatic because you've proven you know how to shift gears. Now you want to simplify. And there's a very specific ritual in this phase. The car is naturally mentioned in conversations. Not in a vulgar way. That would be for the 30-year-olds. Now it's elegant. It's contextual. I picked it up at the airport. The trunk of this car is huge. It can hold a lot. Put the address in its GPS. This system is really good. The car enters the conversation as a fact, not as ostentation. But it always enters. The family is also present in this equation. The car needs to have space for everyone. Comfort in the back seats because the kids sit there and you want them to feel what you've built. It's the car that takes the family on trips, that appears in the Sunday barbecue photo, that the kids will remember when they grow up. At 40, the car is legacy. It's the physical mark of a life built with hard work, and now it has an address, a shape, for wheels, and a license plate. The question that is rarely asked is, valid for whom? For you, or for the gaze of others you're trying to impress? And when this question is asked honestly, the answer can change the next decision in the dealership parking lot. Or it may not change it. Because sometimes knowing you're paying for the symbol doesn't diminish the value that symbol has for you. And that's okay. The issue isn't to stop wanting. It's to know what you're really buying when you buy. Final note, the car you are. In the end, the car you drive today says something about who you are now. Not about who you were. Not about who you want to be. About who you are at the moment you open the door and put the key in the ignition. This can be liberating or uncomfortable, depending on the relationship you have with this version of yourself. If it's liberating, if you look at your car and feel it genuinely reflects who you are, then you're in a rare and valuable place of alignment. If it's uncomfortable, if there's a distance between the car you have and the car you think you should have, then it's worth asking, is this distance about the car or about the version of you that the car is or isn't communicating? The honest answer to this question is worth more than any upgrade in model. Invisible Position, Season 1.